Hey, what's up? Welcome back. I did not know if you were gonna be on here when we went live. Sorry if anyone's wondering why I'm cracking up right now. It's because
We had a bet.
Bryan left. We had a bet. Like Bryan went to go get his water bottle, and he's gotten a little bit older recently. You know, hit the big 3-0, and we only have like a minute of a countdown. So I was like, "Yo, are you gonna like make it in time if I start it now?" And it was his idea to start the intro while he like went and did his thing. And I don't know, he looked unsure. But the whole time the intro was going on, I couldn't see if he was there. So that's why I started laughing right away. So I apologize. We can start over. That's not good broadcasting, but it's the mandatory, and you guys know us by now. So that was probably one of the best intros we had. But listen, if you like the show, if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also follow us on our social media channels. You can see in the description below the ways that you can connect with us. And if you've already done that, thank you so much. You can also find us on the audio side to wherever you get your shows and podcasts. Make sure to subscribe to us there as well. Give us a 5-star, leave a rate and review. All of that is going to help the channel grow. So we appreciate you so much. And we got a lot to get to because it's a massive boxing weekend. And it all starts off on Friday. And Bryan, I think despite the fact that the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano 3 card is on Friday, personally, that card is better than the one on Saturday. And we're going to get into all of that. This card is absolutely stacked. It's going to be on Netflix, so you don't have to buy it on pay-per-view. If you already have Netflix, you could just turn it on. I love that. I wish there's more boxing on Netflix, to be honest with you, Bryan. What are your thoughts on that?
There might be.
Yeah.
There might be, by the way. It seems trending in that direction. Like I think when Jake Paul gets like a real opponent, so to speak, and one of not like a real opponent in terms of merit, but a real opponent in terms of just name and some measure of recognition. Like if he fought Anderson Silva now, I think Netflix would be interested in that fight. I don't know how interested they would be if he's fighting, Chris Billiam Smith, for example. I think you and I would be like, yeah, put that on Netflix. But a lot of people would be like, huh? Who's Jake Paul fighting? Even though he would probably lose that fight because Chris Billiam Smith is a legitimate cruiserweight. You know what I mean? Like, and has beaten like real like contenders and things of that nature.
He's legit. He's legit.
Right. Like, right. That's the thing. Not to demean Jake Paul, but like, comparatively, like that's just a different level. That's all it really is. But to answer, like, yeah, I think there's going to be more boxing on Netflix. IMPK says, what do you guys think is the biggest fight of the weekend? We're going to talk about that because
mine's the nerd fight to me.
The biggest fight this weekend?
No,
like it's the biggest fight.
No, I don't think it's the biggest fight. It's the fight I care about the most. Sorry. And it's the biggest nerd fight on the docket, but I can't wait. It's Puello and Matias. That to me is the fight that I'm like, I can't wait to see this fight. I'm such a geek.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna sound like a casual compared to you then.
Well, I don't know. I'm excited about that fight. I think I'm gonna make my pick on here live. I've been going back and forth. I've been really excited for it. There are really good fights on both sides, but that's the one that intrigues me the most. And, before we get into it, Bryan, I know we have so much to talk about, but quickly on this one, the fight card with Edgar Berlanga and Sheeraz, that's the one with Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda, Puello and Matias. We know that ticket sales, and this is pretty close to where you live, Bryan, right? Like ticket sales they're still there. Like you can go get your tickets right now. But if I was in the New York area, I would personally just go for Puello and Matias. That's why I would be going. Like that's
interesting.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm such a nerd. Like I'm the biggest geek of all time. But like I am so excited for that fight. But you're in the New York area. Is there buzz on the Berlanga card at all?
No one gives a shit. Like, so Hamzah Sheeraz did this video for Ring, which I thought was pretty funny. But he was asking people like, oh, Edgar Berlanga says he's the king of New York. Do any of y'all know who he is? And nobody said yes, except for one dude that he apparently found from East London. And he said, oh, Hamzah Sheeraz is going to win that fight. And they did it in Times Square because they think that Times Square is where the real New Yorkers are, even though it's just mostly tourists. on a day-to-day basis. And if any actual New Yorkers are there, they're just trying to move and get the fuck out of there because they got somewhere else to be, or they have to pass by Times Square begrudgingly or whatever. Like that's not where we be at. Still though, I don't know if Hamzah Sheeraz was like, "Do you know who I am?" All of those people would have been like, "No." And that's not disrespect. It's like, bro, like it's New York City. People want to know like what Mike Brown has to say at his introductory press conference tomorrow because he's the new New York Knicks head coach. They're not really thinking about this fight like that. Ticket sales are still available. Because Ring keeps posting the shit out of it. They're doing their jobs and promoting the fight, but like, we'll see how it does. We'll see how the Madison Square Garden card does. Jesus asks if I'm attending the Berlanga card. We will be here doing a post-fight live. I have too much stuff to do during the day. And I am though going to be at the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano card. I am going to be covering that one. I am going to be there for that. So we will not have a post-fight live there, but we will have a post-fight live Saturday, which we will fold in, obviously, both cards. We're going to talk about both cards pretty extensively. So it's going to be like a big show on Saturday night.
Yeah. And it just worked out anyways, because I couldn't make it on Friday anyways. But the fact we're able to do it on Saturday and kind of go everything and then have the big post-fight show, which I think is totally better. So make sure you guys join us on Saturday after all of the fights, because we're going to be breaking it all down. So lots to get into.
Comment here from Steven. Those fights aren't worth the outdoor heat and humidity. It might be hot that day. Let me see.
That's why I would go. Like a nice day,
84.
That's
Oof.
perfect. That's
humidity,
perfect weather.
Humidity 75%. That's a lot. But yeah, like, I mean, let's get into the cards. Like, we might as well start with Friday. Let me mention this too, as part of the build up to this card. Actually, like this week, I think tomorrow even it might be. It's either tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Crystal Rosado and Elise Soto are actually going to fight at the Oculus, which is where the World Trade Center is. I'm not going to be able to do that because we have to cover Mike Brown's introductory press conference. So, like, I'm going to be busy doing Knicks stuff, but at the Post YouTube channel. But that's going to be really, really interesting. I think they're both 3-minute round fights. And that's going to be after they do like the photos and shit at the Empire State Building. That's going to be really early tomorrow morning, and all these different things. So like, that's cool that Crystal Rosado gets that, and Elise Soto, two young up and coming Puerto Rican boxers. Soto's a banger, in particular, like, and both Amanda Serrano has involvement in developing both of them. So I'm curious to see how that does too. The Oculus, that now that they remade the World Trade Center, is beautiful. It looks so, like, it's awesome. It looks great inside. So I have a feeling about, I know what the setup is going to be, having walked through there a million different times.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool, neat place to have it. And then also with the open workout, I feel like it sounds like it can get a little bit boring at times, just from what you've explained. So this is kind of a pretty, well, like the media workout, right? Like that they're going to have that day.
It depends on the fighter, honestly. Like, Gleason's Tank showed up, did the interview and left. He didn't even work out.
Oh yeah, okay.
But it kind of depends on the fighter. Like, some people just go in, hit pads, and that's kind of it. Some people just stretch, and that's kind of it. I remember one time I did a Terrence Crawford fight. It was like 2019. It was before either Amir Khan or Mean Machine, one of those two. He did like a serious workout. Like, he was going for like almost an hour. He was doing every machine. He like warmed up in the ring. He hit pads. He left. He had the heavy bag. He did something with an exercise ball. Terrence Crawford was going in, and I'm like, okay. But he's Terrence Crawford. He's one of the best we've ever seen, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, guys, drop your comments on all of these fights. Let us know which ones you're excited to see. Let's get right into it, Bryan, because it's a jam-packed show. We're obviously going to start off with Friday night, and this is a stacked card, a stacked women's card, and they're going to be making history. This one's going to be on Netflix. Let's just start off with the main event. Yeah. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano 3 on the record books, okay? Katie Taylor is 2-0 against Amanda Serrano. And however you want to slice it, there's a lot of people that have said, they thought Amanda won this last fight. I think Amanda won both fights. So I might be different from everybody else. But this is a very, very exciting fight. It's a third one. It's a trilogy fight. And I think both of these women are kind of tired of each other. Like, I think Katie Taylor's tired of hearing everybody say that she didn't win, that Amanda won, and that she was headbutting. And I think Amanda's pretty annoyed as well that she didn't get the nod in the first or second fight. So I think both of these women are over it. And I think they're going to give us a great show on Friday. Bryan, is this going to be a better fight than the first two? This is not going to be like a Canelo Triple G thing, right? Where the third fight was an absolute dead. Like, this is going to actually be a solid trilogy fight. I'm thinking, just with everything going on.
I mean, it would surprise me if it stunk. But to be honest with you, I don't know how this I don't know how this fight's gonna go. I was thinking about this earlier today. And we will make predictions in some regard. And Lino and HLD, you both have good questions that I want to get to. We'll get to that when we get to the next card. We just want to make sure we break these up properly. But with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, like I'm thinking about, okay, I had Amanda winning the first fight. I had her winning the second fight. Both very close, like very close. I think Katie Taylor got a lot of pushback for her performance in that fight, where I felt like her performance was kind of underrated from a counterpunching perspective, but I don't think she necessarily did enough to win. I think she has more of a case in the first fight for sure, though. I think that one's like more debatable, where I feel like the second one probably really should have gone to Amanda. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, how much more does Amanda have to do to get a fair shake from the judges, so to speak? And this one is in New York, so it's like, okay, you would think that she'll get favorable cards. Well, that didn't happen the first time. Did it not happen the first time because Katie Taylor just outboxed her? Like, so I think there's a lot of different ways to think about this. It's like, can she beat Katie Taylor, or is she just not going to get a fair shake? Like, there's a lot of things that can go into it. The counterpunching with Katie Taylor, you would think, okay, they'll reward aggression. That didn't happen in the last fight. Amanda Serrano was more aggressive. She landed more punches. Didn't really matter, according to the judges. And remember, before the fight, I bet on Katie Taylor because I was like, I think if it's close, it's going to go to her because she tends to get favorability from judges who really reward counterpunching. And those judges on that card did reward her counterpunching, even if Amanda Serrano, I feel like, had enough volume to win the fight. So this again feels like a real 50-50. And it would be tough if like Amanda lost again and it's debatable. You know what I mean? Like, if it's close again, is it going to go to Katie again? And then it's like, are we going to have a fourth one? Like, how often are you going to keep doing this? And if you're Katie Taylor, you're like, bro, like, I went to New York twice. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm not going to keep doing this. I also think sneakily, and I think you might touch on this as well, so I'll tee you up for it. But like, would it stun you if this was it for both of them? If like they both kind of just walked away after this because they ain't got nothing else to prove at all.
No, I actually don't think either of them have anything to prove, but I just don't feel like they're gonna walk away just yet. I think right now, and I only say that because they would be leaving out on top, by the way, if they were to leave right now, right? And I would like them to leave out on their own terms, but right now in women's boxing, they're making the most money they ever have. So if there is a big money fight, for example, like let's just say, like I'm talking crazy, let's just say that Amanda Serrano fights Clarissa Shields. And Clarissa Shields comes down because Clarissa said she wants it. Clarissa said that she would come down. Okay, I forgot what she said. I don't remember if she said like 150 or something like that.
47, something like
that. Yeah, she said she would come down. Okay, and like we're seeing Bud and Canelo, and Clarissa is crazy enough to do it because there's like that's a massive fight, Bryan. That I think to me that's a bigger fight than Bud and Canelo. Because it's two of the like
Serrano and Shields.
Yes. I think it's just as big.
That's interesting.
Like it's like 1A, 1B. It has to be because who are we thinking are the GOATs of this era is Bud and Canelo, and the GOATs of women's boxing this era is Serrano and Shields. I think if you had either of them as a GOAT, like I'm not going to be mad at that. You know what I mean? Like they're both great. And here's the thing. We're not actually realizing the impact of Claressa Shields and Amanda Serrano yet. Like, people aren't actually appreciating them for everything that they're doing in the sport. They're changing things, they're growing the sport, but like, we're gonna look back like 20 years from now and be like, whoa, that was a crazy era that we got to see both of them fight in this era. Like, we're gonna be talking about that. I don't even think we're realizing like the greatness that we're seeing with them. So I'm just talking crazy right now, but
no, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. You know why? Because we're getting Bud and Canelo.
Yeah.
And 3 years ago, we would have been like, get the fuck out of here, Canelo.
We were saying that last year, and I was saying it was a dream fight. I was like, yo, it's a dream fight, and you're like, we're not getting that. There's no way. You know what I mean?
I was doubting it.
Yeah.
But to your point, there's so much money because we just talked about Netflix. That's a Netflix fight. Claressa Shields, who has a movie out, right? Like,
great movie,
there's a
by the way.
movie out about her. I don't know how it performed. I think it did well, but I don't know.
It's a great movie. I was crying for no reason. I had no idea. It wasn't even like a super sad movie. It was inspirational, and it was just so good.
But like, you could easily sell Amanda Serrano and Claressa Shields on Netflix at some sort of weight in the middle. So this is at 140 with her and Katie Taylor, and obviously Claressa Shields has moved up to heavyweight since, which is not 200 pounds like it is for the men. It's in the 170s. I want to say 175ish, but women's heavyweight boxing is not one that you see on TV often throughout your life, to be honest with you, because the lower weight classes get more attention. But yeah, if Claressa can drop the weight, which she's adamant that she could, if she can get to like, it may not even be 147, maybe it is in the 150s. That may be too big for Amanda, but I think people would like, there could be so much money in that. And maybe that's Amanda Serrano's version of Bud versus Canelo. I know it sounds ridiculous that we're entertaining this, but like, we have to think like, there's money talks ultimately. And if this is something Netflix tries to work with MVP on, like, yo, could y'all actually get Claressa Shields to do this with Amanda Serrano? Like, I think Amanda Serrano would be up for it if you pay her a certain amount, you know? And if she wins this, like, what, win or lose, but if she wins this, like, what's the move after? I think it could be Baumgartner, but they're all like buddy now. So I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. This is what I'll say. I don't think Amanda Serrano has to prove anything at this point in her career. And I don't think Claressa Shields does either. But there's just so much money to be made. Now, there's a couple of fights that I would still like to see. I would like to see Alicia Baumgartner and Claressa Shields because there's too much drama between those two. Okay.
Talking, yeah.
And here's the thing. Like, I think Claressa's still young. What is she, like 30? Like, she's still young. She's not on the right. Amanda Serrano is a little bit on the older side. Katie Taylor's a little bit on the older side, but that's still a fight that I think can happen. And we all know Michaela Mayer has come up in weight as well, and she looks good in the weight class she's fighting in. Michaela Mayer, like, I'm telling you right now, women's boxing is in the best place it's ever been. There's superstars in the sport, and I think there's a lot of fights to be made. And I think someone like Claressa Shields, I think she's going to want all the fights. Right? Because here's the thing. What was happening to Bud before he beat Spence is essentially what's happening to Claressa Shields. Because people talk about, like, and this is not Shields. Like, Shields should have been on this card, by the way. She said that. She was like, I should be on this card.
She's not MVP though. So
that's the thing. And so she's not on this card, but I'm just saying that, you know, I think she's down to fight anybody, Brian. She's down to fight anybody, and I'm with it. As for, and here's the thing, like, Claressa's been on social media talking about how she's the GOAT. And, you know, Amanda's like, okay, whatever. That's literally Amanda, like, okay, whatever, like, giving her props to Claressa. But this is a fight I would want to see. I'd want to see Claressa Shields and Alicia Baumgartner as well. I do think one fight that should happen and here's the thing, like, Amanda Serrano and Alicia Baumgartner are both MVP now. That's a fight that could happen if they wanted to make it happen.
That's more the one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, to your point, like, if you're Claressa Shields, you're looking around, like, people, you just mentioned her resume, and you're like, people hold it against her the same way they did with Bud Crawford. Yeah. But you look around and it's like, who is she going to fight at the way she's fighting at? Like, who do y'all want to see Claressa Shields fight? That's like 160 plus. You know what I mean? Like who is that person? There's not like an obvious one that comes to mind. We both on this show think Tamara Tabal, who's on this card, is going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
She's not, like, she just started as a professional, like within the last year. You know, last year I was covering her talking about how she's going to perform in the Olympics. She was favorite to win the gold medal, and she didn't. She kind of got robbed in her fight, but still, like, Tamara Tabal is going to be really good, but she's not ready for Clarissa Shields right now. I think that's a fight that could be a real fight in a few years, but like
that's a big fight. Yeah, when Clarissa Shields gets older, I think that's a fight that will happen. But getting back to this card here, Brian. Oh wait,
what do you think of
HLD
this?
Mayer and Shields is more doable and actually realistic at 154. I agree, and I think Clarissa said she'll fight anybody. So I think this is a fight that could happen, and I think that's a big money fight. Like, that's a massive fight. That's a fight I think you do in New York. Michaela Mayer likes to fight in New York. Clarissa Shields will fight anywhere.
I would love that fight.
Yeah.
I think Michaela Mayer would take it too.
Michaela Mayer is, I've been very impressed with Michaela Mayer lately. And she's not afraid to go like overseas and fight anywhere either. Like, she'll fight anywhere. And I think those are two extremely big names in the sport. I love that fight. If that fight was to happen, that's a massive fight.
Michaela Mayer, 5. Yeah, so she probably wants like big fights at this point. But look, you mentioned this. She was a champion at 130, moved all the way up to 147. Handled Sandy Ryan in her last fight. It was very impressive because the first one I was like, man, that was close. She could have lost, or maybe it was a draw. And obviously the Natasha Jonas fight. Natasha Jonas is like big also. Like that wasn't a gimme. I had her edging it out. I know that's controversial. A lot of people thought that Jonas lost that fight. Steven says KO sell, these girls don't properly sit down, turn over the punches. I disagree. I think we would see more knockouts in women's boxing if they had more than 2-minute rounds, which we've said consistently. You know, like some of them have like.
Well, hold on. Let me just stop you right now. If there were 3-minute rounds, I think Amanda Serrano could have put Katie Taylor away in the last fight if it was a 3-minute round.
Really, the fight before where she rocked her in 6 or 7 first fight.
It could have happened. Well, she rocked Katie Taylor in the last fight too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I think if it was a 3-minute round, we probably would have saw a stoppage in that fight.
Real quick, because we got to move on to a lot of other shit.
Yeah.
Here are the odds.
Okay, I didn't even look at the odds. So let's
juiced a little bit. Minus 164 at a place that we used to work at.
This is where it all started, you guys.
Yeah, actually.
This was the beginning of it. This is how this show started, by the way.
Yeah, we met at FanDuel. And then we were like, we should do a boxing show. And FanDuel was like, and we were like, we should do
We'll give you 5 minutes.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll give you 2-minute segments to talk about Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. And then we were like, we could do this ourselves. And now we're here. So thank you guys for the support. Anyway, Amanda Serrano on points is plus 100. Katie Taylor on points is plus 145. A draw, which I will bet on, is a very little bit, but plus 1100. These types of fights, I'm always going to sprinkle on the draw, even though I kind of think you could see the judges like hey, we want to give this one to Amanda because 3-0, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like in the NBA where like one team they start off the series and they have a 3-1 lead. They won 2 games at home. They lost, and you know what I mean? Like, and then they split on the road, and now they're going back, and they have a 3-1 lead, and it's like you figure the team that's down 3-1 will get this one. You know what I mean? Or the team that's like up 2-0 in a series after winning the first 2 at home, but they're not that much better than the other person. It's like, all right, this will be 2-1. 3-0 just doesn't make sense. But that's where I'm kind of at with it. I guess I would lean toward Amanda, but this is not a fight where I'm betting a lot of money on it, to be honest with you.
If there is a draw, I'm gonna jump off a bridge. Like, I'm just telling you guys, I'll be dead.
Extreme.
Because like I'm gonna be like I'm gonna feel some type of way if the judges call this one a draw.
Steven, Sky Nicholson just fought.
Yeah, and yeah, she did.
She got a knockout too, low-key.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that because it's like then they're pulling us into like a 4th fight if there's a draw. And then it's like, you're playing with me. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing in my face. Like, you know, so if there's a draw, I might not be here on the weekend because that would drive me nuts. Now, I think I'm just going to place on Amanda Serrano to get the decision this time, just because I think that's what's going to happen. I think there was so much controversy in the second fight, like so much more controversy, Bryan, than the first fight. Yeah. And I think this third fight, because I don't think Amanda has slowed down. I do think that, and look, HLD says that he'll jump off the bridge with me if there is a draw in this fight. That's why I'm going to place money on Amanda, because I thought she won the first two fights personally, but it was very close. But I think Amanda's going to get the W in this one. And then I hate to say it, I think we're going to get like a fourth fight.
The issue is, so Katie Taylor actually just this past week, turned 39. Doesn't have the pro experience Amanda does. You could say Amanda has more wear and tear. She turned pro earlier. She's been in more wars. She gets hit more. And that's the thing that I wanted to ask. It's like, you know, in the trilogy fight, like, we talked about, we don't think this is going to be one-sided, but let's play it out. If it is one-sided, what direction does it go? Is it like, oh, Amanda can't stop getting hit, like this is bad or whatever, and she doesn't have enough oomph on these punches at 140? Or, because I would say her natural weight class, despite her winning titles in a million different weight classes, I would say it's 126.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would say it's 126. And I would say Katie's is 135. So this is more Katie Taylor's more natural weight class. Or does it go the other way where Katie Taylor like doesn't have the speed that she used to, and you know, can't get out of the way of these punches, and Amanda's just piling it on? Like, I looked at the knockout for Amanda in particular, but I looked at it at plus 600, and I'm like, I don't think so, but I think it's worth talking out. Like,
so you think Amanda's gonna TKO or
no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna ask the question.
I'm saying like, I think it's a little more possible than I probably let on going into this fight, like maybe a week or so ago. Like, as I've been thinking about the fight more now, I'm like, oh, like sometimes these third, like, fighters age very quickly from fight to fight when you get at this stage. Like, you can go from looking okay to just washed right away.
Listen, this is the one thing that I will say. Once you get cut in a specific place on your face, that cut is more like the skin is a little bit thinner and it's more easily opened.
Miguel Cotto.
Right? Exactly. Perfect example. My biggest fear and we haven't seen Amanda since that Katie Taylor fight. She hasn't fought since that Katie Taylor fight. So it's like in this fight, and here's the thing, I will say on this show, I don't think Katie Taylor was intentionally trying to headbutt. I think that's the way she fights. I don't think she was being like a hella dirty fighter or anything like that. I will say this though, I think there's going to be a little bit of the same in this fight. I think there might be a head clash. All I know is I'm worried about that area where Amanda had that cut, because it was really nasty. It was a really, really bad cut. And I feel like if that gets opened again, if there's, you know, a head clash and there's a lot of, I think it's going to be a bloody fight. I think it's going to be very similar to the second fight. So my concern isn't one of them getting, you know, knocked out or anything like that. I don't think either of these women will. I would be surprised if that happened, but whatever, it's boxing. But I think it's going to be like I think there will be a cut, man. It's the way Katie fights, you know, like the way she kind of leans in, orthodox southpaw. It's bound to happen.
Technical decision? ? I hope not. That would be.
Hey, Sue says, Shantelle, are you saying Taylor, Amanda are milking the fights? Let me tell you, Jesus, if I fought and I made $4,000 for like a championship bout, maybe like 10 years ago, I'd be milking the fights as well.
Especially if I'm on the way out.
You know? Where the cow at? Where the cow at? Okay, yeah. That's all I'm trying to say, because they're making so much bread right now. But here's the thing: it's entertaining. It's not like we're getting a fight that's not entertaining or doesn't have good storyline. So that's why I'm okay with it. Once the fights start to once it's like a Canelo Triple G3, I don't want to see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. That's not where we're at. That's not where we're at.
Two things, and then we can move on. But one, shop around, see where you can get the best price if you do want to bet on this fight. Also bet responsibly. Bet what you could afford to lose. Don't bet too much money on these if you can't stand losing it. Because I bet very small amounts because I don't want to bet on athletes in that way since I
No, I get it. Stupid Yamamoto messed me up today. Okay.
The other thing is I am leaning Serrano by decision as of today. We will see. Because I have changed my mind before as the week progresses. If we do, I will let you know Saturday. Or I'll be tweeting through it on Friday while I'm at the fight. But my lean for now is Serrano going down 0-3 will be tough to see, but I think there's a pathway for this to be like just not what we expected in either direction. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And let us know how you're going to be betting. We're both going with Serrano on points at plus 100, you said, Brian? Yep. All right, let's take a look at the card, you guys, because this card is absolutely stacked. And Brian, we won't get into breaking down all of it, but let's pick our winners as we go through this card, because this card is too good. I'm upset that I'm actually going to be missing this live, but I am going to be, after I drive back from Seattle, I'm going to come home and like watch it like right when I get home. So I think that, I mean, listen, I'm not going to miss this fight. Okay, let's go through the card here. Brian, I'll let you read it all out there.
All right, we have, I think the co-main event is going to be Alicia Baumgardner.
That's what I heard. Yeah, and so, plus those are two undefeated fighters. By the way,
but Baumgardner has the one loss. From earlier in her career, but she's been on a run ever since. Regardless, like BoxRec has, like, they'll list cards out of order sometimes because of their rating system. Like, especially when you look at a Jake Paul fight, it's never going to be at the top because the rating for the fight will be low because he's not fighting quality opposition according to their metrics. So, like, Baumgardner versus Jennifer Miranda is a 3-star fight, whereas Ellie Skoltny and Yamileth Mercado is a 4-star fight. Now, I think
is a very good fight, by the way.
Slightly disrespectful to Jennifer Miranda, who is legitimate. Now she doesn't have power, but she could box. But this is one where Baumgartner's skill and athleticism should see her push through. I think Miranda's, crafty, but I don't know if Baumgardner at her best will deal with a lot of problems here, but we'll see. I mean, a carefully chosen opponent. Miranda's from Spain. We'll see. Ellie Skoltny versus Yamileth Mercado is interesting. What do you think about the Baumgardner-Jennifer Miranda matchup in particular?
I think it's a good matchup. I think it's a good fight for Alicia Baumgardner on a massive stage after, all the allegations and stuff like that. I used air quotes there, by the way, because there's nothing that really came out about it after. But I will say, I think Miranda is a tricky fighter, and I think she's going to make things interesting. I think she has to rely on her jab, and I want to see how active Alicia Baumgardner is going to be in the ring. Remember, Alicia Baumgardner, one of the knocks before was like, is she going to get better defensively? I want to see if she got better defensively in this fight, and she's taking on an undefeated fighter that's hungry. This is a great test for Alicia Baumgardner, and I think it's going to be a very good fight.
Miranda's almost 40, has one knockout. Been active more so as of late, 3 fights last year. But, this is a fight that Baumgardner should win. Ellie Skoltny versus Yamileth Mercado.
That's a great fight, by the way.
So look at the odds for this. First of all, Baumgardner minus 2,400, by the way. So if you're going to bet on it, just, be aware of that. Yamileth Mercado plus 540. I'm like,
that's disrespectful.
I'm mildly intrigued. I'm like, I don't know if she's the B-side for a reason. I don't know if she's gonna win this fight, but her style, like, I could see her pissing off Ellie Skoltny because of just like, if like the volume. She beat Ramla Ali, who's a really talented fighter, in her last fight. Now it was slightly over a year ago, but like Mercado, her losses are legitimate for the most part. I mean, her last loss was to Amanda Serrano. What I mean? In a fight where I thought she won 3 of the 10 rounds, it was fairly competitive in that fight. Like, I do wonder, like, I mean, if you beat Ramla Ali, I think you're good enough to win this fight. And Ellie Skoltny, like, she doesn't have a ton of power at all. She hasn't had a career knockout yet.
But she can box, and she has a little bit of speed too on her side.
Yeah, Mercado's like an interesting underdog to me, just looking at this card.
Mercado's going to come forward and make it an interesting fight. That's what she's going to do. I want to get to the next fight underneath that, Brian, the one that I'm really excited for, Savannah Marshall and Shadeja Green. I'm rocking with Savannah Marshall in this one. Stay right there. I think she wins by decision. Shadeja Green was supposed to win her last fight. I don't think she did.
No,
right?
no. Oh, she shouldn't have, but she got a split decision victory.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah.
But a couple fights before that, because she probably would have gotten Savannah Marshall earlier. She beat a friend of the show, Franchon Cruz-Zern, who we had interviewed recently. Go check that out if you missed it. She did win her last fight, albeit a little controversial, but she won her last fight. Shadeja Green's only losses to Franchon Cruz-Zern. Savannah Marshall's only losses to Clarissa Shields. I think this is great matchmaking. I think it's a very interesting fight. I think Savannah Marshall's better. And I think both, like, this is one where there's power here from both ladies, which you don't get very often. I don't know if it's going to be a stoppage here, but like, I think someone in this fight, like, could actually, like, this probably has the highest probability of a stoppage of these fights that we've talked about so far, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited for this fight because I think they're two great fighters. I'm just leaning towards Savannah Marshall a little bit more. But here's the thing. If Shadeja Green ends up beating Savannah Marshall, I think that makes things a little bit more interesting because I don't think we're, because like I said, I think Clarissa's down to fight anybody. Mm-hmm. And so that's the only thing that I'm saying. Brian, let's get to the other fights. I hope FanDuel has more betting on this card because there's more fights on this card, by the way, on this all women's card.
They don't have all of them yet, but sometimes they'll drop them throughout the week. They only have one more, and it's Shantelle Cameron versus Jessica Camaro, which is like,
you know what? I don't think people talk about Shantelle Cameron enough. She's legit. Like, she is a legit fighter. I think she might be underrated. Let's just take a look at who she's fought.
She's got a hell of a resume. First of all, Jessica Camaro is legit. Like, we'll talk about her in a second.
And also, remember, like, Katie Taylor came up in weight and was like, I'm going to fight Shantelle Cameron. I think I was like 147 pounds. And Shantelle Cameron was like, hold up, wait a minute. Katie Taylor, you're not about to come into my division and think you could just walk through me. And Shantelle Cameron in that Katie Taylor fight was one of my favorite fights that year.
Same.
It was a great fight. If you haven't seen that fight, go check it out. But I think Shantelle Cameron, when we talk about women's boxing, she's not mentioned enough, but she's a very, very good fighter and very exciting. And this is a very good fight. This is good matchmaking, actually, Brian.
I think so, too. So, like, if you're looking at the resume here, won a couple fights most recently, is the interim champion at 140. So presumably, like, she could fight the winner of Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. Like, she could position herself to potentially be in that mix. We will see. Has the 2 fights with Katie Taylor, beat Jessica McCaskill, which, I mean, Jessica McCaskill was
the OG
motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, the Katie Taylor fight in particular, the way she handled that first fight, the second fight was even like, this 98-92 was wild disrespectful. This was a very, very close fight. One judge had it a draw. I'm kind of right there with them, low key.
You know what's wild though? The fight was in Ireland too.
Yeah,
and like Shantelle Cameron, she's one of my favorite fighters, and it's not because our names are spelled pretty similar either. Okay, I really rock with her. Like, she's a great fighter. She's entertaining, and I don't even think this is an easy fight. Like I looked at the odds, and she was like a minus 2,400.
Yeah,
that's great. That's disrespectful. Who's making these odds? Like, that's like ridiculously disrespectful.
Vegas. Jessica Camara. Like, I know she's 14-4-1, but hear me out. First of all, this technical decision with Caroline Dubois, I wish we saw it out because Caroline Dubois could get a little sloppy sometimes. Jessica Camara is like skillful enough to take advantage of that. Her losses are generally earlier on in her career. She got stopped here. This was a tough fight against Carla Ramos, but like, she beat, where is it? Here. This was like the sort of breakout for her, was beating Heather Hardy. Heather Hardy at that point had only lost to Amanda Serrano. Heather Hardy was on a comeback to try to get to a title fight and presumably was going to get a title fight next. And Camara got dropped in the first round and it just took it to Heather Hardy from there. Won on all 3 cards, did in the States. She's Canadian. And, after that lost the world title fight, but like, and that was even debatable because that was really close. Kamaru's legit. Like, this is going to be an interesting, like, just a tough fight. I think Shantelle Cameron wins because of her ability and things of that nature, but it's not going to be super easy, I don't think. Elsewhere on the card, like, we'll wrap up here so we can get to the other shit because we're already like 40 minutes in and we haven't even spoken about the other card.
We got carried away, guys.
Yeah. Ramla Ali, great to see her again because she don't need to be doing this shit. And she does it. She models. She's an ambassador for shit. She does very important work outside of boxing. She does not need to do this shit. She just loves it, and she's really fucking skilled. Jasmine Jobson from Top Boy is going to play her in a biopic. I cannot wait for that because she's one of my favorite actresses who's amazing in Top Boy. That's going to be great, and they're working together on the role. And Tam Tabal, who we just talked about, I can't wait. And Shernika Johnson, I should mention, against Sharetta Metcalf. That's a fun fight, too. Like, this is a legit top to bottom. I want to see every fight card. And we don't get that in this sport. We just don't.
Yeah, it's extremely, extremely stacked, guys. And this weekend, this is the fight card I think you have to watch. And shout out to, MVP. Shout out to Jake Paul because I think they've done a really good job. And I love the fact that it's on Netflix. It's going to make it so much more accessible because I think the one streaming service everybody kind of has is Netflix over anything else. I think that's the one that people have over, if Prime or YouTube TV or even, DAZN. I don't know a lot of people that have it. I just canceled my DAZN membership, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I canceled it. I don't need it anymore. I don't
Why?
need it. Because I will be getting the fights. It's not the point.
Moving right along.
We're gonna talk, okay? I'm not trying to snitch on myself over here. I'm just saying.
No, we're moving on. It's fine.
Okay. No, I will get DAZN back when it's obviously like NFL Sunday ticket time. Put it on pause. Well, for me it is. I watch every NFL game, right? Okay, so I will say this.
Get Red Zone.
Well, that's where it's on. Like, if you live in Canada, you're getting it from DAZN.
Oh, understood.
Yeah, like, so that's the main reason why I ended up getting it. And then boxing was just an added plus on there for me. I was like, oh, there's so much boxing on here. This is great. And then they bumped it up from like $9.99 to like $24.99 a month. It's like, what?
Speaking of, now that you teed me up, because we are going to transition to other matters.
Well, the pay-per-view cost, right? For this
So
fight.
Here we go. Edgar Berlanga versus Hamzah Sheeraz is $59.99 apparently. So if you have DAZN, you got to pay-per-view.
It's so stupid. Like, if you have a subscription, it should include the fights. Like, why are we paying extra? That makes no sense.
This is not a pay-per-view fight. This is not even a card that I'm not even sure it's going to sell out. We've been talking about there's tickets available. Like, you could go buy, there's like a bunch of tickets available that they're trying to sell. And a lot of people are kind of like, Shakur, Edgar Berlanga, like, even boxing fans are like, I don't really got to go to this fight. And then other people are just like, who the fuck are these guys? Why are they fighting? Why are they fighting in Queens or whatever? To answer these questions from earlier, actually, now that we're going to circle back, Lionel Watson, hopefully you're still with us. I heard the ring card is in a terrible location in Queens. Can you confirm? So we broke this down before. We'll do it again because obviously y'all can't watch everything we do.
Bryan will break it down because he's the New Yorker here. I will be learning with you guys as to what he's saying.
So across from Citi Field, where the Mets play, literally a walk right across, is where the U.S. Tennis Center is. That's where the U.S. Open is for tennis. That's like the last major of the year. It's always in August through September, 2 weeks. Honestly, one of the best events to cover. So at the tennis center, there's all these different places to watch tennis. Arthur Ashe Stadium is the big stadium. That's like 23,000 thousand people or something like that. AEW has events there often, which is a wrestling company that's like not WWE, second biggest in the country. But they do events there at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Otherwise, it's mostly tennis. And Louis Armstrong Stadium is the second biggest stadium in this tennis center. The tennis center that we're talking about has like a bunch of them, but these are like the main two. And whenever you watch the US Open on ESPN, they tend to be at one of these stadiums. The big matchups go to Arthur Ashe. The other ones will be sprinkled throughout. Louis Armstrong Stadium seats up to like 13,000 people, something along those lines, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe a little north of that. So that's what you're sort of looking at. For reference, Barclays Center and Madison Square Garden are both north of 18,000 each when fully sold out. Forest Hill Stadium, which is where the US Open used to be many years ago, that's a little bit north of 13K. Supposedly, it's gone up to 15K before. That's a little closer. That's like deeper into like the heart of Queens, so to speak. And the Madison Square Garden Theater, where this fight could have been, and maybe would have sold out there, is roughly 6,000. So obviously they're ambitious and they're like, all right, we don't think we could do Arthur Ashe, but maybe do Louis Armstrong Stadium. By the way, I've often thought boxing could be at Arthur Ashe Stadium. That would have made a lot of sense. Not this fight in particular. It would have to be like a legitimate superstar, like a Canelo Alvarez or a like peak Miguel Cotto or somebody like that. But it wasn't really a thought. So there's tickets available because Ring keeps trying to, and I'm curious to see what the attendance is going to be, because I don't know about you, I feel more confident in how the other card sells with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. And just right before I toss it back, the most interesting thing about this weekend that has really taken me way too long to get to this point, Jake Paul and Turk fucking hate each other. They cannot stand each other. From the Ring Magazine account, Turk is having whoever, whether it's Michael Benson or somebody else, be like, oh, just shit on Jake Paul's fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Like, you know, just whatever, like just the whole thing. They're going at each other. He keeps talking about Turk. Jake Paul called Canelo Alvarez an employee, among other things, of Turk. Like, these guys are going at it. And this is a legitimate head-to-head. Jake Paul is like, I have a card at the Garden, 5,000 more people when filled to capacity, 5,000 plus maybe. And it's the night before on a Friday night. And then afterwards, you have Turk's card with Edgar Berlanga, Hamzah Sheeraz, with local, like Edgar Berlanga, Shakur Stevenson, who, even though he got booed in his own hometown in New Jersey, is from this area. Like, there's a lot going on here just from that perspective. And what I'm going to say is, y'all don't have to pick sides. You don't have to be team Jake Paul. You don't have to be team Turk. You could like both, or you could hate both, because honestly, both of them have reasons to like not like them like that, as we've talked about. I think it's one of the most interesting things about the most interesting thing about this weekend. It's also just, this is clearly intentional from both sides. They're not doing it on the same night. They're doing it on the same weekend. And I'm curious to see like what the buzz is, how the cards perform, all those different things as it relates to both of these cards, because these guys can't stand each other.
I will say this. I'm excited for both cards. However, if, you know, this was a head-to-head and you had to vote on who had the more sexier card, it's got to be Jake Paul. Who has the more sexier venue? It's got to be Jake Paul. Who is supporting women? Jake Paul. I mean, I'm team Jake Paul for this. I never thought I would say this, you guys. You know what I mean? So I got to rock with Jake Paul in this one. I love the card. There's Canadian on the card as well. And just everything he's done for women's boxing. And he's doing a great job with it. He's a great businessman, whether you like him or not. And I absolutely love this. Right? Like, if you wanted to shit on somebody, you do the card the day before on a Friday night in New York City in the summertime, and nobody else is really, and you arguably have a trilogy fight that's one of the best, you know, that might be one of the best trilogy fights of this era. Like, yes. This is history being made, and they're going to make history on Netflix. Like, yes. That's the thing. That, like, there's going to be history made, and it's going to overshadow Saturday a little bit. But we'll be with you guys on Saturday as we, you know, break down the card, break down the weekend, and we're going to get into all of that right now because we've almost gone for an hour. So let's get right into it, Bryan.
Hold on. You hit on one key point that that I failed to mention also that we should stick on for like 10 seconds. Netflix versus DAZN pay-per-view.
Oh my God. What are they doing? Bad business. Okay, not only is her kind of doing bad business right now, guys, he's not supporting women. It can't get worse for the guy, right? There's no women on his card. All the women are going to be at Madison Square Garden, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Let me know who you guys got in this one, Jake Paul or Turk. Like, if people were coming out to music and stuff, Turk would be coming out right now to Drake. What did I miss? Okay, you missed a lot, Turk. You missed a lot this weekend. All right, let's get right into this card, Brian, because this is a great card. And like you said, BoxRec sometimes doesn't put things in order. So this is not the order, because I was actually confused, guys. I didn't know this is how badly it's kind of been promoted, but promoted a lot at the same time. I thought the main event was Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda. And then Brian was like, nah, it's Sheeraz and Berlanga. And I was like, that's interesting. But both great fights, by the way. Why don't we start off with the main event, Brian?
On merit, by the way, it should be Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda, because it's actually for a world title. I don't know.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask you one question, though. And yeah. I'm so sorry, guys. This is going to go over an hour. Sorry, Brian. I know this is going to go over an hour, but
we're here. This is what we do.
Who is the bigger star? Shakur Stevenson or Edgar Berlanga?
It should be Shakur.
Okay, it should, but it's not.
You don't think it is? I
really think Edgar Berlanga has the star power. Shakur should be the face of boxing at this point, like one of the faces at boxing, because he's that good.
But I think because people, like, we're getting to the point where people do want to see him lose. They just don't want to see him fight,
which is terrible.
You know, to me, I'm still gonna say it's Shakur. I think Berlanga, like, people want to see him lose also, but he has lost. He just lost to Canelo. And I think Shakur, obviously, we think he's going to be around for a long time. Berlanga, I'm not so sure. I don't even know he's going to win this fight. But, like, Edgar Berlanga does have a quality where, like, he just pisses you off. You know, like, he draws something out of you. And I do wonder... I wonder if that's going to, like, matter, and ultimately it will only matter as long as he wins. And that's the thing with me that I keep coming back to. It's like Shakur Stevenson might just not lose for a long time. Edgar Berlanga could lose this weekend.
Yeah, very true. I will say this, though. I know there's a lot of hate on Shakur, but I guarantee you in like 10 years, there's going to be a lot of people that are Shakur fans.
Maybe less.
Like, I think there's going to be less haters.
No, I mean less time than 10 years.
Yeah, because what he's going to do is he's going to go on a spectacular run, and we're going to be talking about his undefeated record. And there's going to be all these Shakur fans that were hating on him before right now that are going to be fans later on. And he's going to be one of the biggest faces of the sport, whether you like him or not. That's how good Shakur Stevenson is. Might not. And hey, he might actually put on the show in this one. Like, we don't know. We haven't seen Shakur, but we know that he's heard the criticism.
And let's just mention this because Foxy chimes in. What up, Foxy? Hamzah Sheeraz was asking people in New York if they know who Berlanga is. No one did. Yeah, we mentioned that. And just say, like, we're talking about as stars within boxing, because honestly, like, who really transcends boxing outside of, like, the obvious Canelo Alvarez? I think Terrence Crawford. I think Terrence Crawford is getting to that point at the very least. But I don't know if he's fully there. I think Tank is there. Like, I know that might not be, like, super well received, but he is a bona fide, like, people who don't really watch boxing like that will watch Tank fight. You get that with Canelo Alvarez too. Like, you make this point all the time. Like, it's a real thing.
I'm telling you guys right now, like, none of my girlfriends know anything about boxing. They'll sure show up for a Tank or Canelo fight.
Right.
They'll be like, Tank is fighting? And who's this Lamont Roach guy?
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, like, they put Tank and Lamont Roach's face off on Shade Room. And all my girlfriends were like, who are these guys?
All the
like,
blogs
when are they gonna fight? And I was like, what is this? And they watched the fight, guys, and they were super hype about it. But that's what Tank does.
Shakur shows up on some of that too, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's been on the Breakfast Club. he gets talked
Yeah.
about on the Joe Budden podcast, but it's not for his
The right
fighting.
reasons. Yeah.
It's always for like he got into beef with Cameron, or he says some shit about this person, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
it's actually pretty entertaining. I love it. But I do like the things that Shakur is on there for, because like at the same time he knows how good he is. So he'll just like he'll be a little bit like cocky about it and a little bit petty. So I dig it. But I think Shakur is still like age wise, like he's still a baby. So it's like no one's like, oh my gosh, Shakur is fighting. Like nobody I know, like in terms of like, you know what I mean? All my girlfriends, like none of them are like, oh my God, I gotta watch Shakur. They're all saying that about Tank and like Lamont Roach because they're older, right? You know, you get what I'm trying to say here.
No. Yeah. Like Shakur's not at that. He's not appointment viewing for enough people yet. I mean, look, again,
he will be though.
He got booed in his hometown. So this is an interesting fight. We should talk about it. Let's talk about this before we talk about Berlanga-Sheeraz, since we're here with Shakur. And this is honestly like this should be the main event. But Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda, like Shakur, this is perfect. Like this is the perfect, like, do what you do. Maybe you stop him, maybe you don't. I doubt it. But like this is a dude who's undefeated, who probably should have lost to Tevin Farmer at least once, and legitimately was the interim champion in this weight class. Like this would be, outside of maybe Oscar Valdez, the best win of his career. And the Vegas seems to think he's going to dominate. I think given what we saw from Tevin Farmer, he should, because Shakur Stevenson could do all the things Tevin Farmer does, but better, and is faster at this stage, obviously, because he's younger, more athletic, taller, like bigger reach, all these different things. Like he's like super Tevin Farmer.
Super Tevin Farmer. I've never heard that before. That's hilarious. Super Tevin Farmer.
Just because
that's what we're calling him now on. So Super Tevin Farmer is taking on William Zepeda.
Just because I'm saying, because if we're saying Tevin Farmer laid the blueprint, it should have beat William Zepeda. The Shakur Stevenson is going to do all those things.
Like you can't come up with like a different word or something, like Super Tevin Farmer. That's hilarious, dude. That's so funny. He's like you stopped too. Like you looked around and you were like, he's like Super Tevin Farmer. What? Like that was pretty funny. That's what we're calling Shakur now. Super Tevin Farmer. If you do get to interview him in the future, you should be like, did you know that people are referring to you as...
he will look at me like Mike Coppinger, bro. Like
yeah. Who, by the way, like I think that was unfair to Mike a little bit, because he's legit. Like, you know, he covers the sport.
Yeah, well. but I think Shakur should, based on what we saw from Tevin Farmer and what we know about Shakur, he should win this going away. And I probably wouldn't have said that before the Tevin Farmer fights, but the fact that you had to rematch and you didn't beat Tevin Farmer convincingly either time, like I think Super Tevin Farmer will get it done.
I just can't keep a straight face and look at you now. I'm not going to look at the screen. I'm only going to look at the camera. Okay. So with that being said, Brian, who do you have winning this fight and how?
Shakur Stevenson by decision.
and what are the odds for that? Do we have that on?
Yeah, we do. We definitely do.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at this other prominent sports book and let you guys know if I find a better odd for that, because
minus 220 minus 220 on FD.
Tyrone the Great just donated and he loves it. He said Super Tevin Farmer level 3. That's even better. Level 3.
Like if you're playing Pokemon, for example. I don't know if you'll get this reference. I don't feel like Pokemon was your bag.
It really wasn't. It was a little bit like before. I mean, like, after my time.
Tevin Farmer is Charmander, and Shakur Stevenson is Charizard. I don't know who's Charmeleon in between. But like that's kind of what I'm getting at, you know. Maybe somebody will feel me on that. This is a boxing show. I don't know how much crossover boxing and Pokemon have, but hey, like.
Okay, so you have it at minus 220 on FanDuel, is it?
For Shakur, yes.
Okay, on another prominent sport book, Bet365, to bet on Shakur Stevenson by decision is a minus 200.
They always have better odds.
Yeah,
Bet365 might be the best, honestly.
Yeah, so a little bit of better odds if you want to bet on that sports book, but just kind of fine, because this is how I think the fight's going to go, guys. I think William Zepeda is going to come forward and try to be the aggressor. But I do think that Shakur Stevenson, he doesn't get touched a lot. He doesn't get hit a lot. And I don't think that he's going to play into fighting William Zepeda's fight because Shakur Stevenson's IQ is too high for that. Now, what Shakur is going to do is he's a great body puncher. He's going to be able to hit William Zepeda. I think he'll keep up a decent work rate and touch him. But like, this is not going to be a very exciting fight. I don't think this is even going to be a stoppage. Like, I think Shakur just wins on points. And for some people, like, here's the thing though, he's probably not going to not actually, I don't know. Like, you just never know what could happen to William Zepeda, right? He gets pretty reckless at times. But I will say this. Shakur Stevenson will probably win almost every round in this fight. Like, I hate to say it, guys. I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to dominate in this fight.
Remember, Tevin Farmer did drop him too.
Well,
in one of them fights.
Here's the thing. I think if Shakur sees it, I think he might go for it. But
did you hear about this, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Turk said he's gonna have a ring that shrinks as the fight goes.
Yeah, and it showed how much he was gonna shrink it. And at one point it was like so small.
He cannot do that, bro.
No, he can't. I mean, that would make things a lot more interesting. You know, he might have 1 point above Jake Paul in that one if he could control that, but it's not going to happen, guys.
That's not boxing to me.
No, it's not. He would be affecting the ring a little bit too much, the fight too much. I will say this though, I think Shakur on points, and I might sprinkle on Shakur knockout or TKO because I think it's a possibility because I think he's gonna have one of his best performances because I think he's just heard everyone talk smack. This is a good fight for Shakur to prove it. If there's any fight here, Brian, I want to ask you before we get away from this topic. If Shakur doesn't have a good fight, as in not entertaining at all, what does that mean for him in terms of value, in terms of, you know, popularity? Like, he has to have a good showing and have a statement fight, does he not?
Yes, absolutely. Last time we saw him was against Josh Padley, replacement opponent against a dude who was an electrician. He's not anymore because he got paid. And Shakur Stevenson was supposed to fight Kid Austin Floyd Schofield, who since then his stock fell. And then he knocks out Tevin Farmer in round 1. This is why Tevin Farmer is not like the super evolved form. And like now people are probably going to come away from this being like, hey, can we revisit Shakur versus Kid Austin potentially? Even though I think Schofield won't do that against Shakur Stevenson, but like you could sell that fight more now. Group round betting, Shakur Stevenson to win in rounds 7 through 9 plus 800, 10 through 12 plus 1,000. 10 through 12 is interesting there. I just don't know if he beats William Zepeda into submission like that. I know he's going to try to. He did mention his hand injuries too. Like this is a thing that Floyd Mayweather went through. Floyd Mayweather, as we mentioned, like, at the beginning of his career, before he became Money Mayweather, he was Pretty Boy Floyd. He was knocking motherfuckers out or stopping them. Like the Arturo Gatti performance, as we've talked about, is like my favorite Floyd Mayweather start to finish performance, even though he doesn't record a single knockdown in that fight. At least I don't remember if he did. But
I hate that fight.
I know. But like, it's the fight that I like when I'm watching, like, for example, Cavs Heat game 4, and it's like a 60-point game in the second quarter. I'm thinking of this is like Mayweather Gotti all over again. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of my reference point for like really, really one-sided blowouts. HLD says Shakur's hands give me trouble to pick. If they are hurt, it'll be a long night versus Zepeda, who can throw 1,500 punches relentlessly in 12 rounds. I am curious to see how Shakur deals with the volume. Maybe it'll make him fight a little bit more. If he does have an injury, that's going to be trouble. IMPK, who is Mega Charizard Y Mayweather ? Probably. Shantelle has no idea what
means. Is going on here. Okay,
don't worry about it. Tyrone says
the chat.
See, they feel me. JoJo level 1, Farmer level 2, and Shakur level 3. Maybe Mega Charizard Y IMPK might be Pernell Whitaker. And Mayweather's like a different category.
Anyways, guys, the chat's got a little off the rails here. I can't be included in this. I don't know what's going on here. You guys are gonna have to rewind.
You missed the boat on Pokemon, yo. It's the greatest.
I know. I mean, I know what it is. It's just like, kids were like trading cards and stuff and all of that stuff in elementary school, and I was like,
watching Kobe and Iverson.
I was, but I was taking people's cards and then like selling them. I didn't know what I was selling, but I had to make some bread as a kid. So I'd like take people's cards. Okay, no one needs to know about this. Actually, this is not.
Yeah,
This is a dark time.
Don't get fired, as Jalen Rose would say.
Exactly. All right. So
Berlanga-Sheeraz.
I wasn't stealing it. I was just taking their cards in like a game of basketball and then selling it. That's fair. These kids would buy anything back then.
Edgar Berlanga versus Hamzah Sheeraz.
It's a fair game. If you win in basketball and you get someone, that's fair. You could sell it after. Okay, anyways, not the point.
Right, we work at too many big networks to continue this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Both of us.
I was 10.
Yeah,
I was
statute
10.
of limitations. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Edgar Berlanga versus Hamzah Sheeraz. Now, okay, the odds for this are a different story. We're gonna go through this quick because we both want to get to Alberto Puello and Subriel Matias. Believe me.
And you guys, David Morrell's on this card too. Just want to say,
by the way,
this card is crazy.
Like, as an aside, here we go. Sheeraz is the favorite at -130. This hasn't moved from when I checked a few days ago. Edgar Berlanga +104. I did see this actually be 50-50 2 weeks ago, not last week, at a different book. So this could be a fight where, and there have been fights in the past where they were so close, where like this happened with Rayo Valenzuela and Gary Antoine Russell. One book had Gary Antoine Russell as the favorite, another had Valenzuela as the favorite, and another had them both even money, just even. Like like 115 in both directions. So like sometimes this happens, but here specifically, Berlanga by TKO or knockout +250, Hamzah Sheeraz by points +185, by knockout +300, points for Berlanga +320, draw +1500. We got a comment about this earlier saying from Orca, shout out to Orca, welcome. They will for sure rob Berlanga if he doesn't stop Sheeraz, not going to lie. Shantelle, do you think if Edgar Berlanga wins, you think it could only be by knockout in this fight?
No, I don't. I think Berlanga could also win on points. And I only say that because I think Berlanga's gotten a little bit better. And I do think he still has the power. I think it's just going to be a tough fight. Here's the thing. We don't really know how good Hamzah Sheeraz is, to be honest with you. Right? He's fought a lot of, Euro level fighters. And it's like, we've seen it before in history. Sometimes these guys come out, to America and get exposed, or vice versa. Americans go over there and expose them. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but Sheeraz has had some underwhelming performances. Right. And against a guy like Edgar Berlanga, I want to see how safe he's going to play. But Sheeraz also has power. He is very skilled. And I want to see how real that is. I think this is a very tough test for a guy like Edgar Berlanga. But at the same time, like, I think Berlanga really, really wants this one. Because here's the thing. If Berlanga is able to beat Sheeraz, we're going to be talking about him a little bit more. I think his star grows a little bit bigger. This is a tough fight for him, though. But it's like, I'm not sold on Sheeraz, if that makes any sense. Do you think the only way Berlanga can win is by knockout?
I think so. I don't know if he's going to win that many rounds. I'll give Edgar Berlanga credit. Like, he has gotten legitimately better. I'm not saying he's like great, because as somebody who even covered him here, like early, I've referenced La Cultura documentary we did on Puerto Rican boxing, and we followed Zachary Ochoa, Matthew Gonzalez, and Edgar Berlanga. This was in 2018. We got awards from it. Some of them are behind me, as a matter of fact, from film festivals and shit. And Edgar Berlanga was like one of the central members of that. So he was 8-0 at the time. And this before he fought. He was fighting on Evander Holyfield cards before Top Rank. So around that time is when I started seeing like, oh, like he has some serious power, but it's like, all right, is he going to round out? And I think the knockout streak ended up working kind of against him, because he would get these first round knockouts all the time. And then when it was finally time for him to get rounds, like he wasn't really ready for it. I think he's shown some improvements, particularly in his last couple fights. But to toss it back to Sheeraz real quick, the Adames one, I think he flat out lost. and he got a favorable draw. One judge had it 118 to 110 for Adames. I didn't have it that wide if I recall correctly, but I remember having it at least 116, 112 for Adames, something along those lines. And we all knew that there was some shit going on there. And to be honest with you, like, I just don't see how this was a draw. Now, before that, you mentioned like other performances, like Tyler Denny was impressive, but also like that's a fight that you should take care of. Ammo Williams, I think, was sort of the breakout performance for me. But I was never like super high on Ammo Williams. Like when Troy Isley told us 2 years ago that he wanted to fight Ammo Williams, we were both kind of like, we think he could beat Ammo Williams. You know what I mean? So maybe that's a fight we actually do get at some point. Liam Williams before that, like he's had some great like early stoppages, but against competition that's like, fine. Not that Edgar Berlanga has like a tremendous resume either. Like he has the Canelo fight and he's acting like he won the fight ever since. But like if you're just looking at it, like, and this last fight Edgar Berlanga had was like not. We don't even need to talk about it because like that's an opponent that should not have been there. But like the Canelo Alvarez fight, I thought he got some rounds. And then Pradris McCrory is where I actually saw like, oh, okay, like he is putting more of an emphasis on his boxing, so to speak. Now I would like to see him get tested. And I think in this fight, Sheeraz is going to box like from the outside as he should. And he's going to try to use his length and his jab and his reach. And I want to see how Berlanga sort of closes the gap. Like, is he going to follow him around? Because I'm a little bit nervous about that. Is he going to just follow him around and not really cut off the ring well? Like, how is he going to get to his combinations? How is he going to get to his body shots? So it's a fascinating fight. And I think it being 50-50 is fair because I have a lot of questions about each guy. And I don't feel confident in backing a winner in this fight at all, to be honest.
I don't either. And I also don't feel good about the fight going the distance because Berlanga has, we've heard he's chinny a little bit. We've seen him get dropped before. For a Hamzah Sheeraz, it's like I need to see more, and I need to learn more about him. And I think we'll learn more about him in this fight. I'm not betting on this fight, Brian, because I just don't know how it's going to go.
I don't think I am either.
And if that's lame for you guys, drop it in the comments. Let us know how you're betting the fight because I don't want to waste my money on this fight. I don't know how it's going to go. And so it's one of the fights I'm not betting on because I think we've seen a sample size from a guy like Sheeraz. And then we've seen Edgar Berlanga. And it's like, we don't know what Edgar Berlanga were getting after that Canelo fight. So this is a tough fight. I think it's going to be very interesting. And hey, if Sheeraz ends up knocking out Berlanga, that's going to make headlines. If Berlanga ends up knocking out Sheeraz, that's going to make headlines. If it goes the distance and Sheeraz wins, I don't think anyone will be surprised.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to say Berlanga has to win by knockout, but
he should win. It's in his backyard.
Yeah. And look, he could
he could.
He has power. I mean, so does Sheeraz, but
yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
Sheeraz is also moving up in weight.
Yeah.
Remember, Adames was for a middleweight title. So Edgar Berlanga, like he's been a true super middleweight for a long, long time. But as you mentioned, Chinny, like he got dropped in the amateurs. Bad. I showed you the video, like bad.
You guys, I want to ask this. Because Orica, by the way, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Says Sheeraz has been dropped too. And then Foxy says,
that's right. What fight was that Sheeraz got dropped? I was looking for that.
Okay, look for it while I read this comment by Foxy. Berlanga is overhyped to me, thinking he's a star because he lost to Canelo. Also, Sheeraz with Andy Lee now. I'm expecting to see a big performance from him. What was the fight where he got dropped? Who dropped?
It's here. Francisco Emmanuel Torres. Sheeraz dropped once at round 3. I did watch this back at some.
You guys, okay, I want to ask this to you,
3
Brian.
Years ago.
And then I want to ask this to the chat as well. We're going to need your comments for this, guys. Who has more of the devastating power? I think it's Berlanga.
I think so too. I think at this weight, at least. Yeah. Like all of the dude, the real impressive win on his resume, if you want to give him one, is Ammo Williams. Other than that, like Liam Williams is maybe up there, but like, what are we really talking about? And Carlos Adames, I thought outboxed him despite giving up a lot of height and reach, and just like it was a fight that athletically they picked him for a reason. We talked about this. Like they thought Shiraz was going to win this, and he's going to be their champion, and he's going to be someone that Turk gets behind, and all these things. And he's telling them like, "You're down, you got to do this or whatever." Like Adames got robbed, and
Yeah,
Adames
he
should have
did.
won that fight. Like
I
I don't
think
know.
Turk even let Shiraz know that he was down in the fight, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we saw the video, so
Yeah. So, guys, let us know how you're going to be betting this fight. Let us know who you're rocking with. And remember, after the fights, guys, post-fight show. Now, we still got a little bit more to get to because
Foxy, you bring up a good point, by the way. Sorry,
what did Foxy say?
because he did mention like the Andy Lee piece that that's not nothing. Like Andy Lee is one of them trainers who can make a difference. So he could have a game plan to really dismantle Edgar Berlanga. It's just a matter of can Shiraz follow it without getting caught.
But here's the thing, like with the Andy Lee piece is really, it's huge. But I'll say this, you're Edgar Berlanga, and I know I think it was Fox, you also said that Edgar Berlanga is overhyped. I'll say this though,
Yes.
I think he's great for boxing. And I've said this many times. I think he has a star power. Fat Joe is going to be up in the building. Okay. I know it for sure. Okay. I don't know what Edgar Berlanga is going to come out to, but it's going to be something wavy. He's going to worry about, it's going to be like 10 chains, 10 Cuban links on the neck. Like, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy business. And I'm all for it. Okay. I like the waviness. I will say this. Sheeraz is coming into Berlanga's backyard. Berlanga's been on a tour after Canelo, popping that. You know what I mean? Like he like for him to lose this fight in New York City,
yeah,
it's not a good look for him. He can't act that way after. I feel like if Sheeraz like schools him. So I think Berlanga is gonna have extra juice in the tank. Like Berlanga is not some guy that's just gonna roll over. Like he has this aura about him. And it's, it's there, like whether you like him or not. Personally, I think it's good for boxing. I don't think this is a layup for Sheeraz. Regardless if people think that Sheeraz is, more skilled than him, which I think could be fair. But I think Berlanga's gotten better. I don't think this is going to be an easy fight for Sheeraz because he's also coming into Berlanga's backyard.
Yeah,
that's going to be a pro Berlanga crowd, dude. There's going to be Puerto Ricans everywhere.
Maybe
Fat Joe's going to be there talking shit to him while he walks by behind the scenes. Like I'm telling you, it's not when. Here's the thing: this is the biggest fight Sheeraz has ever been in.
Yeah,
lights, camera, action. How are you going to perform? How are you going to perform this? This is your introduction to North America.
Yeah.
And you're in New York City. This is different, man. How do you handle that pressure? Like this is bigger than just, you could be a great fighter. You could, in the, like when you're practicing, when, you're going through your training camp, you could be feeling it. When you step in that ring and all the lights are on you and you're the main event and you're in someone else's backyard, how do you deal with that? And that's what we're going to find out because pressure is a real thing. Pressure is a real thing, guys. And he's never been in this situation. Berlanga, on the other hand, he's at home.
Especially in this sport. And it's like, it's funny. I actually trust Sheeraz to be more disciplined, but I trust Berlanga's power more if he can land it. So we'll see how much of a factor Andy Lee is going to be in this. I worry about Edgar Berlanga overhyping himself. You know what I mean? Like, is he going to be too confident? And think like, I'm gonna just get to that one punch and don't worry about it. Like, is he gonna do enough good work setting up the jab, being responsible defensively, and all these different things? Like, I think the odds have this like down to a T. Like, if anyone should be a slight favorite, it should probably be Sheeraz by a little bit, just because like the boxing ability, so to speak. But Berlanga could just pop his head off his shoulders like at any moment. So
we just don't know. This is probably one of the most intriguing fights on that card. But another
weekend.
Yes,
of the month, really.
Yeah, it's going to be really good, guys. Please drop your comments. Let us know who you're going to be rolling with. Another intriguing fight, the one that I'm waiting for, the one that I would buy tickets for if you're in New York City and you haven't bought a ticket yet. This is the fight I'm waiting for. Alberto Puello and Subriel Matias. I can't wait. Like, I am so excited for this fight, guys, because styles make fights. And I think Puello is one of the most underrated fighters at 140 pounds. He's a champion. And no one really mentions him, but he is super skilled. And Subriel Matias has a lot to prove. I feel like this is going to be a heavy Puerto Rican crowd, Brian. Subriel Matias, Edgar Berlanga, like it should, right?
Alberto Puello's Dominican.
Oh my God! It's going to be madness.
Where I'm at now.
Yes.
Look behind me. Both flags. You know what I'm saying? Like we're both out here in this
Great
city a
rivalry,
lot.
by the way.
I mean,
yeah.
Puerto Rico is much more known for its boxing, but I mean, if you look at the boxing landscape as of late, Dominicans have made a lot of progress in the last few years, not just with Alberto Puello. But we've talked about Elvis Rodriguez. We both really like Polanco.
Yes.
You know, for example, like there's a lot. There's a lot there.
This is gonna be such a great fight, you guys. Can you pull up the odds for that, Brian? Is it up?
You will want to see this.
Okay.
You will want to see this.
Because I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
Even -112 in each direction.
Yo, this is a good point. HLD Shakur is Rican also. Yeah, he always has the Puerto Rican flag when he walks.
Not
out
always.
as well.
He should.
I've seen it a few times in his big
better
fights.
have it this time.
Yeah. That reminds me. I loved when Mayweather did the whole like Mexican Independence Weekend thing, and he just came out like in the Mexican colors and the flag. That was dope with the hat.
I mean, it was kind of patronizing a little bit, but
a little bit to some people. But I was like, hey, I'm kind of digging it. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, is this the odds? I love this. Inject this into my veins.
Direction. Alberto Puello. We both agree. One of the more underrated boxers in the sport. However, if Subriel Matias does what he does, this can be like, listen. Alberto Puello just beat a pressure fighter not that long ago. We saw what he did against Gary Antoine Russell. Close fight, very close fight, but he did win that fight, I thought. Subriel Matias had that fight against Liam Paro, did not go well. Is he going to be one of these dudes who learns from that? He avenged one loss earlier in his career. Or is he going to actually make some adjustments and not just fight the same way the whole time? Is he going to be nervous or whatever? Like, this is a fucking banger. This is one of the absolute best fights of the weekend. I'm leaving no one surprised, Subriel Matias, but this is yet another fight where I'm like, I don't know if I want to bet it. Yo. I'll say this though, like I don't think Subriel, like, he doesn't win on the cards, so you might as well look at the knockout, which is +160. I mean, and Alberto Puello, he did have a little bit of a steroid thing earlier in his career, but he seems to have overcome that. He beat Sandor Martin in his last fight. That was also
tricky fight, guys.
Sandor Martin will do that.
I love a good Sandor Martin fight.
He doesn't have a ton of power, Alberto Puello. He is stinging shots, you know what I mean? But he's accurate, but he doesn't have a ton of, like, Subriel Matias is there to end you, you know, which perhaps in poor taste because he actually did do that to somebody before, but still, like, that's what Subriel Matias is. Like, he's trying to like finish the fight early.
Yeah, I don't think he meant it like that. So don't
no, I did not.
Yeah,
no, it just occurred to me after. I was like, oh shit, wait a minute.
Good backtrack. Yeah. We both said things on this show tonight that were a little bit just joking. I'll say this. This is going to be a really good fight because Alberto Puello is extremely skilled. And we kind of saw what happened in styles make fights. So we know Subriel Matias is a devastating puncher, but he hasn't really grown as much in the last 3 years that I thought he would in terms of his style. But Alberto Puello has gotten better. So you go back to that Subriel Matias Liam Paro fight. Liam Paro fought him in the best way that he could in Puerto Rico. I hate to say it, but that stain is behind Subriel Matias. Like, he can't get rid of that yet until if he knocks out Alberto Puello in this fight, we'll all shut up and forget about that. What happened, right? But here's the thing, Brian. I don't think it's gonna happen in this fight. I'm rocking with Alberto Puello in this fight. I think he wins by decision, and I think he's gonna box. I think he's gonna box his ass off. I think there's gonna be too much skill, and I think he's gonna take that blueprint from Liam Paro. Of course, they fight a little bit differently, but I think he's gonna take a look at that and try to use it against Subriel Matias, because that's what I would do if I'm Alberto Puello. Fight him the way Liam Paro did. And here's the thing. Subriel Matias, for some strange reason, could not close off the ring in that fight. He could not close off the ring in that fight. So if I'm Alberto Puello, you are going to have to take some of his devastating hits. Can you withstand it? But at the same time, you gotta box, you gotta move, and I think Puello has the skill to do it. So I'm taking Puello in this fight by decision. I went back and forth. I think I changed my pick like every day since the fight was announced. I went back and forth. But I think Puello, when it comes to skill, he's got it. Would I be surprised if Subriel Matias knocked him out? No, because Puello does get hit. I'm rocking with the Dominicans in this one.
If Subriel Matias cuts off the ring, I think he'll win the fight. If he just follows Alberto Puello around and does the Isaac Cruz, then he's gonna lose. Like he's just gonna, it'll be Liam Paro 2.0. That's sort of my concern. Like, this is why I think accurately the books have Alberto Puello points plus 155 as his shortest method of victory. Same thing with Subriel Matias by knockout, technical knockout, plus 160. It's kind of like either Subriel Matias is going to catch Alberto Puello at some point, or he's just going to follow him around and just get pieced up and not really land cleanly and lose like a close fight, 8-4, which is what I thought Liam Paro won against him. 8-4, 7-5, something like that. You know, what Puello did, like, he barely beat Gary Antoine Russell, and he barely beat Sandor Martin. Subriel Matias is not going to fight like Sandor Martin.
Yeah.
But like he's coming off a couple of like debatable, like very tough. Like, this is a great, like, this is very good matchmaking. And I think, and I agree with Foxy, where this is my issue with Matias. He is vulnerable against skilled opponents. Like, he is somebody who, I feel this way about Amanda Serrano in the Katie Taylor. This is why going into the Katie Taylor fights, I'm like, yo, like, not like vulnerable against skilled opponents in that way, because obviously I think she's more skilled than Subriel Matias is for like her weight class and things of that nature. But like, counter punchers could be bothersome when you're a volume puncher, because if you're not winning on volume, so like Subriel Matias has to be just more than just a volume guy in this fight. He has to actually cut off the ring and actually like have Alberto Puello trapped into the corner, actually hurt him to the body early. And Matias does this thing where he gets his ass whooped in round 1. So like, if you want to bet on him, like, you could wait till round 2 or 3, because he for some reason, he never wins round 1 in his career. He just doesn't. Like, or not, maybe not his career, but like, I've seen him get like, I remember it was Ponce, and I was watching that fight with my dad. I was like, yo, you got to see this guy. You know what I mean? Because he's invested to all the Puerto Rican fighters. He's like, yo, you got to see this guy. He's a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as the fight gets started, you know, like, he's getting his ass whooped. And he's like, what the what? And I'm like, just wait. Trust me, just wait. And then in round 2, pop, just uppercut him the hell over and over and over again. And then he eventually got him out of there. But like, yeah, this is kind of what happens against Roberto Ramirez. He gave up round 1, and then he finished him in round 2. And against Golaz in his last fight, when we saw him in March, he didn't win every round in that fight. So Subriel Matias, if he doesn't cut off the ring effectively, he's not going to win this fight. He'll just get outboxed for 12 rounds, and he'll win a few of them. But
wait, hold up. We gotta say what's up to our guy right here, Ryan Hong, good friend of the show, and OG.
What up, Ryan?
Ayo. We haven't seen Ryan in a minute. Ryan, we're almost done the show live tonight because we've been here for like an hour and a half.
Longest live ever.
Yeah, it's the longest live ever actually in history. But we'll say this: we are having a post-fight show this Saturday after the fight, so make sure to come and rock with us after that. If you are going to be on your phone, or if you're going to be kicking it at home during the fight, we'll be rocking with you guys. Also, David Morrell's on this card as well. I just want to mention that really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen him fight since, was it David Benavidez? Yeah. So it's been a little minute for him. That's his only loss, and this is a good fight for him.
It's not a gimme.
No,
I mean,
I think he'll win though. I think he's gonna win though.
I do too, but you don't want to overlook these Russians that like casual fight fans haven't really heard of.
Yeah.
Katsev he's got power. Like David Morrell, I feel like he's going to come out like a boxer in this fight, try to counter. He has power too. We didn't see enough of it in the David Benavidez fight.
He's young. He's young though, like in terms of his professional career.
Yeah.
Right. Compared to David Benavidez, like in terms of, experience. So I think that's what came in handy in that fight.
And then these other two fights, I got to be honest, are whatever to me. And this is why the Friday card is better top to bottom, because every fight there, I'm like, there's somebody I'm interested in seeing. These other two prospect fights. So we saw this dude.
Oh yeah, we did see him. We saw him at Madison Square Garden
against not
Madison Square Garden, Times Square. The Times Square
show.
fight. Yeah,
against my boy LaVale Whittington, who I was legitimately impressed by. He was brought in there to be like the guy who loses to the prospect and gets his ass whooped, and then it's like, oh hooray, like we got somebody who's like gonna be a star and a ring ambassador, because they love introducing people as ring ambassadors. And LaVale Whittington like won 2 rounds, in my opinion. I was like, oh yo, this dude is 1-2-1 out here, like kind of low key, like looking okay, despite being
he'll get more fights. I'll say this though, really quickly. This quickly just came into my head. That that Times Square event is probably one of the worst events ever in boxing. It started at 3:00 on the West Coast. Because I remember when that fight was going on, I was at the gym and you were like, the fight's on. They just showed Barboza and Teofimo Lopez. And I was at the gym and it was like 4:00 on the West Coast. And I was like, why is it so early? That was a terrible event, you guys.
And then we have Muhammad Al-Akel, who's from Riyadh. So he's getting a shot here, which, that's cool. The Turk trying to like put somebody on from where he's from. 4-0, no knockouts. He's fought on other undercards on these Saudi cards as well. So they're trying to like, develop their own star, which is ultimately, I think, kind of should be the bigger point of what they're trying to do. Like if you're trying to make boxing a big thing over there in Saudi, this would be his debut outside of Saudi Arabia. And I don't know how many people are going to be like rushing into the building for those two fights, but cool. We got a couple undercard fights, but I like the top 4. But it's going to be an interesting weekend. A lot of great fights. We talked about a bunch of them. This is the longest preview we've ever done. We both said coming into this is probably going to be a long preview, but we appreciate y'all for chiming in. Questions, comments, go on the way out the door. It is almost midnight on the East Coast on a Monday night.
Yeah.
So whatever you got, empty the clip now because we're about to get out of here.
All right, and let's get really quickly. HLD says Morel lacked experience versus Benavidez. I definitely agree. He also says Matias got Bambi legs in his last fight versus number 144 ranked fighter 30 seconds into the first. Yeah,
he got rocked back,
which Matias does get rocked at times though.
It's a Felix Trinidad thing where in the first round Trinidad used to
you gotta wake him up.
Yeah, like Trinidad, he'll come out, he'll look a little shaky, he'll get dropped, he'll go into the corner, smack, and then he comes out and fucking beats your ass, except if you're Bernard Hopkins or Roy Jones Jr. Or Winky Wright. Sure. But still.
All right. Orica says, that's going to be a good fight, bro. I can't side with either because I'm Puerto Rican and Dominican. I'd say either Pollo outboxes him or Matias is going to turn it into a slugfest. I can see that. Orica, that's a great comment. It was sticking with that fight.
You didn't hear that?
HLD. I got Pollo over Matias. Pollo has already been Russell, who's like Matias. Has Matias ever faced a Pollo type of fighter?
Liam Paro question mark?
I think can I be honest? I think Pollo is better than Liam Paro. Like I don't really care what anybody says.
Probably.
That's what I think.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
The Hitchens fight. I don't see. That's the thing. Like, I don't think Hitchens is dominating Pollo that much, like in that way.
No, not at all. Lionel Watson, Berlanga has heavier punches, but will he actually land enough against Sheeraz? What's his work rate going to be in this fight? This is going to be really important for him winning the fight. Like he has to have a higher output in this fight, Brian, if he's going to win on the cards. No one's ever stopped Sheeraz before. And Al the Pal, a very good OG of the show. Dang, one of the longest shows y'all done. I missed most of it. Well, you could always go back and watch it, Al. We would hope that you would. And leave a comment.
Foxy, what's the Tommy Fury news? Because I just did a quick Google search and maybe that's what you're talking about, but I don't want to mention it unless that's what you're talking about.
What's
But
going on?
it doesn't involve boxing, is what I'll say. But let me know if that's it. Like let us know in the comments what news you're referring to. He also adds that Harlem Eubank is now officially the worst British fighter of all time. Did you watch that barn burner with Jack Catterall this past weekend?
I saw the highlights before bed, put me straight to sleep.
Technical decision for Jack Catterall.
I'm not gonna hate on Jack though, because he's given us some good fights.
He leaned into how boring he is in one of them funny videos.
Listen, man. I remember when he got robbed against Josh Taylor.
I don't really particularly care about that fight. By the way, Gabriel Rosado's back. He's fighting next month.
I like Gabe Rosado. I think he's
fighting
also
Nathan Rodriguez.
All right, guys. I think that's it for us today.
I thought you'd look a little Puerto Rican. Who? Because I mean, the way Shantelle looks, could go either way. I'm Puerto Rican, but like Shantelle, it's also like the hoop earrings and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I don't know. People don't usually know what I am, so I'll say that.
What's the news with Tommy Fury, Foxy? Like, what did he do? What's the good news? What do you say? Is it this thing about?
Oh no, he says the news is that he's no longer the worst of all time. Because remember, Foxy was like that he's the worst UK fighter of all time.
No, because I googled Tommy Fury and I'm like, Molly May reveres tears from the sun over parenting struggle as Tommy Fury spotted partying with girls again. And I'm like, admittedly, that's a headline that'll make me click the story. So I might read that after this. But like, Tommy Fury got a partying problem. Is this why he hasn't really progressed since beating Jake Paul? He just kind of cashed out and that was it. Like, what's happening?
I don't know if I really care about Tommy Fury and his partying. Is there anything else before we get out of here, guys? I've been up since 4 a.m., guys. Any other good comments?
They split before? Okay. No. All right.
Alba Pal, so you know Spanish, Shantelle? I know like resort Spanish.
White girl Spanish?
Yeah, I sound like a gringo. You should see when I went to San Diego and I was ordering tacos. I probably sounded like a white woman. I probably did. I think I told you. I'm like, Brian, I sounded like a gringo. Yeah. I know resort Spanish. That's about it. You know, and I know how to say library.
Okay.
That's the only thing I remember in high school, how to say library.
I mean, anyways, my Spanish is rough, so I can't talk.
Anyways,
I don't use it enough. That's the problem.
I wish I knew another language, but I don't. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for rocking with us. We know we did the live a little bit later. I do want to know, though, if you guys like the late night lives. It's baseball season right now. We can do more of these late night lives. If you guys like it, drop it in the comments. Let us know, because then we can do more of those instead of like the early mornings or, you know, middays. But remember, we are going to be back Saturday. We're doing the post-fight show. So if you're going to be hanging out, come and join us. We'll be kicking it and we'll be talking about all the fights. We'll even talk about Friday as well. So we'll get into that. And thanks so much for hanging out with us, Brian. I will let you have the last words. What?
HLD says Shantelle does have Brooklyn Rican vibes. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you could.
Oh, that's so nice.
Fit in with some of my homies.
Did you guys know when I came to New York last time, people thought I was a local and was asking me for directions and stuff, and I was like, I don't know.
If you look just like that, like I could see it.
It was the same with a Knicks hat.
See, there you go.
Exactly. Okay. Anyways,
we'll be back on Saturday night. Take care.
Bye, guys. Super Tevin Farmer.